This is episode 237 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Mike Cossette. Mike is a real estate broker, investor, co-owner of a RE/MAX franchise with over 20 years of experience in residential and commercial real estate. He specializes in, this is very similar to me, Mike, luxury homes, multifamily, short-term rentals, small commercial properties, and helping investors scale their portfolios. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for everything you do in the community.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk to you. I love having other agents who also have a very strong investing game as well, because I like to kind of go back and forth. So I'm going to start you with a question that I've asked several of my other agent guests. If you're an investor out there listening to this, should you get your real estate license?
Absolutely. 100%.
See, I agree. Tell me why, though, you think, because I'd like to bounce that off for the listeners.
Well, I mean, I think there's a variety of reasons. I think, you have the main one is saving on the commission sides. Two, you're understanding the contract nuances. Three, the community and the network of people that you build up, and then their networks.
Yeah.
So double expanded networks to seven people from Kevin Bacon. You never know when to happen to those guys.
Yeah, and I've always said it's just an access thing. If you want to get access, why do you want to wait on an agent who doesn't really want to work with you? Which is, most of the agents are terrible. We both know that. So you're waiting on some rando that you found on Zillow. If you just have your license, you can go see every dump the first day that it hits the market.
The first hour.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're just trolling the hot sheets like we do. And then, oh, look, that looks good. I'll just go see it. You set the appointment, go see it. I think it's a no-brainer. And then for people who are flipping, the only true way to get the ARV is to actually look at the real comps, since all of the sold comps in each state don't actually syndicate. So you can't get a true value on that.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we agree. We'll just shut down the show now. Well, so how did you get your start? Were you agent first or investor first?
Well, I guess technically I was an investor first. I was in college and my folks lived in Colorado, and we needed a home base in Texas. And that's where I went to school. And so I convinced my folks to help me to invest in a property. I'm going to rent it out. I'll take care of the mortgage, all the expenses, everything like that. And then on the other side of the coin, I had joined a fraternity. We didn't have a fraternity house. So, it was kind of a mutually beneficial thing. I had multitude of renters already lined up. And so that's kind of how we got into it. And that's how, got into investing. I did my first complete remodel and rehab after we destroyed the house, 4 holes in the roof. It was a complete dog mess. And
at least it was your dog mess, though.
Well, like in 1/19th, I would say.
It seems like you've had your finger on the pulse, though, because it seems like you're doing these things at the right times, and then you're able to then scale from there. But a lot of people now are not sure, is the right time. How come you and I both think all times are the right time? Because I remember this from what you wrote before. Like, people are missing out by not paying attention to the market because they think there's no way to buy when rates are high.
I think, the old adage, not the timing the market, it's time in the market. So no matter what angle you look at, 2-3 years ago when interest rates were very low, prices were $50,000 above list and they were skyrocketing, right? And, so that was, why would I buy now? There's no options. I can't get what I want. But there's low rates. Now it's the flip side, right? There's lots of inventory. Rates are much higher. Now the advantage is the high negotiation. Now, if you're in the commercial space, you can get access to asset classes that only the big boys had access to before. You can have massive negotiations for desperate people that, are in struggling situations with the way the markets are. And so you have that leverage and power on the pricing side, knowing that, rates eventually, if you believe the government is going to keep spending and printing money, then eventually rates are going to keep coming down because that's how they keep stimulating the economy. So I think that's, it's looking at the glass half full, and instead of, hey, let me fit my strategy to the market, let's build my strategy around the opportunity the market's presenting, is a way to look.
Yeah, and to do that as an investor, you have to always be paying attention. You can't just, oh, I'll take 6 months off and then hop back in. You've missed all the trends. You can't just find the trends on Facebook because everything's fake. You're not really, those aren't the real headlines of what's happening with real estate entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And you know what? It's okay to skip some of the trends. If you're in a spot where it's like, hey, I just need to stabilize my portfolio, which a lot of people are in right now.
Yeah, yeah.
For a phase, then if you want to skip a trend, that's okay. But just know that as soon as you think you're ready, you're ready. And
Yeah.
the sooner you pull the trigger, the better off you are.
I think people are just over preached in terms of like making money on it, because I feel bad for like a couple who gets their first house and then somebody, usually the husband says, hey, let's rent out a room in our house. And, something, why? Like we're like earning appreciation every day. In 3 years, going to be up 100 grand. We don't really need, Randy from down the street living in our thing and sharing our kitchen. If in college, it's a great idea, but like as you go, I think people are forgetting that you can just steadily earn appreciation. Of course, you're not getting cash flow, but maybe it's a patience thing, right?
Yeah, I think that it's a big patience thing. And I also think, it's all in the individual. I think like I house hacked all the way up until I had 4 kids from the time I was in college for 20 something years. It was some form of house hacking.
But
And
obviously your wife was okay with it. Like
right.
you guys talked about it together and said like, hey, this is our strategy. Let's just get some extra money, or let's buy houses where this is an opportunity, mother, daughters, separate entrance, things like that.
Yeah, it was actually her idea. And the sell on it, which she sold me on it, to be honest,
That's
um,
awesome.
was that this during back when Airbnb started in 2013, I think was when we first started doing Airbnb. We had a little bungalow downtown Central Austin. I was just divorced and we just started dating, and she and lived there with my roommate. And then he moved out and we would try. I said, hey, we got to travel the world. That's something we both wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then when we left, he's like, hey, let's just rent it on Airbnb, see what happens. Well, then that started paying for our entire vacations. And then this was
Fly
like,
come home, right?
yeah, it was an aha. I was like, wow, there we just put it up every single weekend. Even if we didn't have a big vacation plan, we go stay in a little Airbnb, one of the silver trailers.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and go stay for $100 a night and make $3,000 for the weekend on renting our house out. And then obviously that money went towards our entertainment and our quality of life, not so much towards saving and reinvesting at that point.
Yeah.
But that was the big sell, and in the high growth of Airbnb as well during the time.
I'm seeing one house with you today, then two with Bobby, and then three on Sunday, with Sharon. It's like, nah, yeah, it's not going to work anymore. And actually, we have to say that it doesn't work anymore. You only have the option. I think it's helped us a lot. I think it's confusing for investors because they're used to kind of like freewheeling it, so they want to sign a lot of one-off. But again, a one-off showing is of no use to me. I'm only trying to build relationships, and I think this from both sides. As an agent and as an investor, we always realize later, now at this stage of our career, it's always all been about the relationships. If you build relationships the right way, you don't need any pieces of papers or all of these things. You'll get those when the time comes. But if you just work hard for an investor client, or vice versa, the client puts a lot of trust in you, you're going to keep doing business together because you've built the relationship the right way.
That's the name of the game. That's the more hands you shake, the more money you make. You build those relationships and they will pay you forever. You got, loyalty on both sides. And, you have to understand each other very well. And so I think that's 100% the truth right there.